All right, good morning. Karen Scholl, Operations Section Chief with the Alaska Incident Management Team, here for your morning overview on October 1st. Fire is just over 955,000 acres, and we're looking at about 51% containment. Last night, we were expecting and anticipating some winds caused by a sucking action from the Sacramento Valley, the heat from the valley pushing up and drawing wind and air from our fire. That did not materialize as we had expected it to, anticipated. So what that means is the fire that we have and the heat that's within our containment lines down by Yola Boli has stayed in place. So no concern on our containment lines down here, so that's really good news. We are anticipating those winds again tonight with the heating in the valley. Wants to suck the cool air in. So we're geared up for that. We've got patrols out at night as well as during the day. And then where the heat is, it's well interior. It's over 500 feet within our interior, our containment lines, and in really steep, rugged country. So we're mainly watching that and looking for opportunities and how we would access things if the fire got out of that area. Same is true up near Red Mountain. Crews continue to let fire back to our containment lines, pick up a few spots, but we've got a couple different containment lines just south of Red Mountain that we're trying to keep that fire activity small and manageable. And then we've got a couple fallback lines as well, some of them not depicted here on the map. So everything's looking good here. Last night we had crews along the 36 with anticipation of spot fires coming out with the winds that did not materialize. They were out looking at Wildwood and points beyond and checking for spot fires, and nothing happened, but we had crews out there. And Wildwood is in a pre-evac, or evac warning, I should say. So related to the winds expectation over the next couple days. The fire up just south of the 36 in Post Mountain continues to back down. We're watching that and letting that back down on while we have decent conditions underneath the high pressure that we're in. The fire's not moving aggressively, so it's backing down, and that's good. It's doing what we want it to do. Post Mountain is still prepped, working on tightening everything up there, improving the dozer lines when we should need to use those, as well as, which is not depicted on the map now, some dozer line that they're pushing to the north and west. We're able to make it over to the Bear Wallow area yesterday, at least with scouts, to see what we're going to do there, and pushing the dozers in that direction. In our division, India, which is north above the 36, we had spots kind of a little bit further out than where we're looking. We're not going direct in here. We just don't have the access, but it's doing okay. And we've got this other line that we're bringing across, trying to cut that off at the head. So still watching this, still monitoring it where we can't get into it. And then over in Hidden Valley area, we've had crews in there and folks in there watching the fire, doing structure protection in anticipation of either defensive firing as the fire comes to it. So things are looking pretty good there. Tough access into there. The egress is really important for us, how we get out if fire behavior becomes too much for us to be able to do anything. So egress is important, so we're putting a lot of time in making sure that firefighters have a way to get out if we get into that situation. As long as the fire is manageable and we can fly aircraft, we'll keep folks in there. But with yesterday's high pressure, everything was really smoked in. Visibility was pretty limited all the way around. Down in the Ruth Valley area, we've had crews. They're broke up into four different groups. A couple of the groups are working directly in and around homes, securing the ones within the fire area, doing some burning to secure them. We had a couple other groups that were working north of the fire area, assessing and providing structural protection. So they're out getting a plan ready. We've got pumps and hose on order, sprinkler kits in order to try and add to the structure protection plan of how we're going to manage that when fire comes that way. We're anticipating it at some point to want to move in this valley. Most likely when the lid comes off, when the high pressure moves out, there'll be some more fire activity, some more movement, and so we're just getting prepared for that with the resources we have. And then down on the south end, again, prepping the homes that are not in the fire area currently, but getting them ready to defend when the fire moves. I've talked a lot about lack of resources and what that means, but I'll revisit that a minute. So we have engines, dozers, and crews all across the fire, and they're ready to pivot at any moment. So when we're anticipating fire behavior and activity to pick up in one spot, we can shuffle our resources in that direction. If it's going to pick up in another spot, we can shuffle them into that direction. And most of that is based off the wind direction and the anticipated movement. Generally, the fire will not pick up in all of our open areas at the same time. So with the limited resources we have, we're picking and choosing where they're going to be most effective and where we're anticipating the activity for that day. And then we've had some personnel called the FOBs. It's a field observer. Went out yesterday up into the High and Palm area to meet with the folks up there and then look at places where we could build that big box. We're still looking at opportunities, south of High and Palm and where we can tie that together. With the South Fork of the Trinity being such a large topographical feature, it's difficult to bring the lines across that somehow. But we're still looking at that, ways to bring it off South Mountain down into the Trinity Creek and then across, Trinity River. But we have to look long-term as well. And so that's what our FOBs was doing up in High and Palm yesterday. Made some good contacts with folks in those subdivisions between Fire's Edge currently and further up north. This map is really busy. I know there's links online to what all of this means, and I'll just run through it real quick. A drop point, or a DP, is a place that ground support personnel and anybody on wheels can get to. And so it's oftentimes a meeting location. Where you see an H with a number, H is a helispot, and so that's for our aircraft to get into when they can fly. And oftentimes they use that to pick up crews and deliver them to the field, or to pick up overhead in order to give them recons of the fire. So that's what the H's mean. When we see these big brackets, the big brackets are a division amongst the branches. So we've got a branch 21, so they're responsible for this whole area. A branch 31 is responsible for this area, as depicted here. Branch 40, all the rest behind us. And then each branch is divided into a smaller unit, which is the divisions. So we have a Echo 1, Charlie 1, and Alpha 1. They all work for the branch director. And so that's how it is across the fire. And then under each division, we have middle management, task force leaders, heavy equipment bosses, strike team of engine leaders. And then underneath them are where the engines, crews, dozers, the single entities, as we call them, are. So that's kind of our chain of command. Part of the problem right now is that middle management, task force leaders, strike team of engines and heavy equipment bosses, we're really short on that. So our division supervisors have a lot of people who are they're responsible for are reporting directly to that individual, and that's a real big workload. So we're trying to get more middle management, and it's just a shortage across the nation right now because there are quite a few fires going on. So we're managing that to the best of our ability. So that our span of control, so we know where everyone is and what their work assignments are and who they're reporting to. It's really critical for that, especially when we have high winds and a high fire danger day. So that explains some of what's going on here. I guess some of the other things on here, you'll see WX. Those are where our weather stations are. So we're getting data from the weather stations all day long. We have, let's see, what else? That's pretty much what we have on here. The X's are proposed or dozer line that's been put in and captured. So we track that on GPSs. So that's captured. Dozer line. The black line we talked about is containment, not meaning it's controlled, but it's contained for the time being. So the black line behind us and the black line out on the west zone, where the west zone meets us, that's all in and good. And then this yellow stitched line is the break between the west zone, which is a different management team, and our zone. So that's what that is. And of course we have the mile markers along the highway, so that makes it easier for troops on the ground to know when we're talking about, okay, we've got fire that's bumping milepost 66. Our engines can go there and do what needs to be done. Okay, so that about wraps it up around what we have going on the map. Appreciate your time. We'll see you tomorrow.